In the classic tradition of mystery and suspense, Playhouse Video presents Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Hound of the Baskervilles.
Mr. Holmes, you're the one man in all England who can help me.
Well, won't you sit down?
Thank you. I'm in mortal fear Sir Henry's life will be snuffed out.
Why, what makes you think that?
I have information which leads me to believe that for centuries past, every Baskerville who's inherited the estates has met with a violent and sudden death.
And certain death is just around the corner.
Now, will you please tell me what this is all about? Dr. Mortimer bringing me here to see you. This letter.
It's about you, Sir Henry. Your inheritance from Baskerville Hall. And Dr. Mortimer thinks that it might not be safe for you to go down there.
Safe?
On account of a hound. A wild, supernatural monster that has cursed you Baskervilles for the last 200 or 300 years.
And it's up to Sherlock Holmes to solve the mystery.
About 50 yards from where Sir Charles fell dead were footprints.
A man's or a woman's?
Mr. Holmes, they were the footprints of a gigantic hound.
Murder, my dear Watson. Refined, cold-blooded murder. The only way is to catch him red-handed, to catch him in such a way that there's no escape, no alibi. That means gambling with Sir Henry's life.
But you can't
Gambling to save his life.
It's Basil Rathbone as Sherlock Holmes and Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson, together in their first mystery ever, The Hound of the Baskervilles.
Germany Broadcasting, Germany Broadcasting. This is the voice of terror.
Charted here the tonal differences between actual and transcribed broadcasts. Using this test, I'm convinced that the voice of terror is undoubtedly recorded and played from a record. It proves that the voice of terror, the man himself, is not in Germany. He's here, in England.
Good evening, gentlemen. I knew your curiosity would be your undoing, Mr. Holmes.
You were expecting me then?
Yes. I had hoped that the entire council might have come. It would have been a pleasure to deal with all of them.
Where is this Musgrave Manor?
Down the road a piece. You'll see it when you pass the old iron gates. Only don't loiter. You won't be welcome. Not by the Musgraves. Been sitting there, lords of the manor ever since time was. If those old walls could speak, they'd tell you things that raise the hair on your head. There's folks hereabouts swear they've seen corpse lights round the old greenhouse. And heard a wailing like lost souls in the lime walk. Hey, I want no part of it. Nor of the Musgraves neither. Hard men, like them as was before them. Cruel men. God pity 'em. For the day is coming when they'll need pity.
Sherlock Holmes. He's dead.
Is he, Norman? I doubt it. But if you were to say to me tomorrow, Sherlock Holmes is dead.
The instrument of death was a spider, there's no doubt about it, Lestrade. And the bite of the creature drove these pajama suicides to kill themselves. Look out, Watson! Those insects are deadly.
property. It's gone. My son employed you. That's why I left it with him. Where is he?
You think there's a secret compartment underneath?
There has to be.
Empty.
Yes, but it's been recently occupied. What was the name of the man who approached you?
I don't remember.
Miss Vera, was it by any chance this man here?
I never seen this gentleman before in my life.
Miss Vera, was it by any chance this man here?
I never seen this gentleman before in my life.
You think there's a secret compartment underneath?
There has to be.
Empty.
Yes, but it's been recently occupied. What was the name of the man who approached you?
It's gone. My son employed you. That's why I left it with him. Where is he?
Has just been found dead. Her throat torn out.
So you proceeded to fall in the bog, eh? Fall? I was pushed into the blasted thing. Pushed by the most ghastly apparition.
Judge Brisson, if you'll answer a few questions, I may be able to save your life.
I have the fullest confidence in my own defenses, and I will not trade them for any theories of Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Under the circumstances, I'm helpless to prevent your death.
Throw your revolver on the floor in front of you and raise your hand, Sherlock Holmes.
Look out, Watson! That's the second attempt on the musical box that Emery bought at the auction sale, and this time it was successful.
But that box was only worth £2.
It was worth a man's life, Watson. Numbering the keys. The 19th key of the keyboard is the 19th letter of the alphabet. S. Here. Mark it down when I give it to you, old fellow, will you?
I knew you'd be unable to resist the bait of my cigarette, having read with great interest your monograph on the ashes of 140 different varieties of tobacco.
I should advise you not to move, Mr. Holmes.
If you are a woman, you walk these streets at your peril. For this is London's Whitechapel in the time of Jack the Ripper, one of the world's most infamous killers.
Hello, darling. Like a bit of fun?
dense black fog of London hides a multitude of sin. It shields a murderer whose urge to kill is conceived in cunning and born in a maniac's hell. Here are the body spit and sawdust haunts the Ripper knew. But who was the Ripper? Only one man thought he knew the answer. His address?
221B Baker Street, please, cabby.
His name was Sherlock Holmes.
It's true these murders are the work of a madman, but a madman with certain medical skills, considerable intelligence, and education.
Then if you're right, Mr. Holmes, it brings us back to the doctors.
Sherlock Holmes, the original special agent, forerunner of today's thrill makers. Sherlock Holmes, a genius at detecting the improbable and solving the impossible.
Incredible. Elementary, my dear Watson.
Dr. Watson, the other half of this fantastic partnership. This is Carfax, who helped Holmes more than he knew. And Murray the doctor, whose tongue was as sharp as his scalpel.
This butcher boy the government has all of us on the edge of a knife. Only this morning, 3 more men were attacked in the streets of London.
These were the women who lived in the shadow of the Ripper. The redhead, once famed for her beauty. The gay, buxom little blonde. The provocative brunette. These were the kind of women the Ripper loved, till murder did them part.
Never see anything like it this side of hell.
Billy Wilder, the man who gave you The Apartment and Some Like It Hot, now reveals the private life of Sherlock Holmes. Dr. Watson in his lifetime recorded some 60 cases demonstrating the singular gift of his friend Sherlock Holmes. But there were other adventures which, for reasons of discretion, were withheld from the public. Adventures which involve matters of a delicate and sometimes scandalous nature. The private life of Sherlock Holmes was anything but elementary.
My dear Sherlock, there are certain affairs that do not come within the province of the private detective.
The public has a right to know these things.
Sherlock Holmes was a man of curious habits and eccentric tastes.
Aren't you ashamed of yourself?
Thoroughly. But this will take care of it.
And not always what he seemed to be.
You have described me as 6'4", whereas I'm barely 6'1".
Madame says you are shorter than she thought.
Oh, I didn't mean to be.
I hope I'm not being presumptuous, but there have been women in your life.
I thought I would never find you. It's been such a long time.
I found her body quite rewarding, especially the palm of her right hand.
Midgets.
What is it indeed that feeds on canary birds and sulfuric acid and has an engine for a heart?
Open that door.
Sherlock, when I said drop this case, it was not merely a suggestion, it was an order.
By whose authority?
By the authority of Her Majesty's government.
Holmes, you better take this with you.
Your client isn't Madame Valador. It's the Imperial German government.
Holmes, I saw it. The monster.
It's getting closer and closer.
It took a genius to cover up Sherlock Holmes' vices, blunders, and bizarre tastes. Sherlock Holmes was a genius. The private life of Sherlock Holmes was anything but elementary.
For many years, people have believed that Sherlock Holmes was the greatest detective in the world. But is it possible that there could exist another human being whose mental powers go even beyond those of the master? Hello, what's this? It's Sherlock Holmes' smarter brother. Starring Gene Wilder.
Do you have a brother whose first name is Sherlock?
I do not.
You do have a brother?
I do.
Might I inquire as to his first name?
Sheer luck.
Madeline Kahn.
I thought so sweet as little dimple in...
As Jenny Hill.
How do you do? My name is Bessie Bellwood.
Liar!
Oh, you don't fool around, do you?
Marty Feldman as a man with a photographic sense of hearing.
Due to ill health, your brother has decided to take a short vacation in the country. Oh, not very long, 2 or 3 days at most, but he would very much appreciate, if you would handle one of his...
A tale of amazing feats of deduction.
Haderd. Unless I'm very much mistaken, haderd is the Egyptian word meaning to eat fat. Hey! I'm here!
Dom DeLuise as the king of all the blackmailers.
Feel free to count it. Don't touch the money!
You got a lovely race.
And you got a lovely race.
Come on and hop, 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 come and do the kangaroo. Hop, 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 that's the dance for me and you. If you're over 80, you can now. But hopping about the parlor is the very latest style. Come on and hop, 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 hear the music go and
The adventure of Sherlock Holmes' smarter brother.
Oh, taxi! Come along, the others look small. Come and do the kangaroo, come and do the kangaroo, come and do the kangaroo. Hop.
Something stalks the streets. Something possessed of animal cunning and fury.
I understand you know something of the Whitechapel murders.
I have seen the man known as Jack the Ripper.
Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson plunge into the Victorian underworld, seeking the answers to the most puzzling case in the annals of crime. Who is Jack the Ripper?
Why does he let them keep you?
I don't know!
A story that at last reveals the identity of history's most elusive murderer. A stunning cast brought together with an astonishing story. One of the great screen entertainments in the classic tradition. Murder by Decree.
You begin an investigation.
Based on what?
Your imagination.
It was obviously a suicide.
Never trust the obvious.
Uncle didn't kill himself.
Before a lifetime of adventure came the adventure of a lifetime.
What's your name?
Holmes. Sherlock Holmes.
That was a girl.
Brilliant deduction, Watson.
Steven Spielberg presents Young Sherlock Holmes, directed by Barry Levinson.
There is a clever murderer on the loose, and I am going to find him.
I might get caught, and that would mean trouble.
You would let trouble ruin an opportunity for adventure. It's only a hallucination. Maybe not.
Oh my God. They're going to kill her.
Stop! She's alive!
Before the legend began.
Just when you thought you knew everything about the world's greatest detective, along comes Without a Clue. It's about murder.
Moriarty! Are you sure he's not trying to kill me?
Of course not. He knows you're an idiot.
Thank God. Ah!
It's about kidnapping.
Abducted? By whom?
Abductors.
Mr. Holmes!
Have courage, Mr.
You don't know who you're dealing with, my friend. My name is Sherlock Holmes. This is a matter for professionals. Watson.
It's about romance.
Hello, Mr. Holmes.
It's unsafe for you to sleep alone tonight. Would you like my autograph? Woo! It's all over now, my pretty one.
It's about the greatest case of mistaken identity in history.
Excuse me, but you are Sherlock Holmes, aren't you?
Well, that depends.
But it's time now for the public to learn the truth. The truth? He was an actor. Unfortunately, he was also a gambler.
There's a little matter of a gambling debt.
A womanizer.
Me! Did it again.
And a drunkard.
He's been at it again.
I never liked that woman.
You idiot! What? Confound you!
What did I say?
It's the flip side of Sherlock Holmes.
Have you no respect for people's privacy?
Michael Caine and Ben Kingsley are Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson as you've never seen them before.
Something's afoot. Something wrong?
Without a Clue. Rated PG.
I have a request. Someone I want to see. Sherlock Holmes. Mr. Holmes, you must widen your gaze. You underestimate the gravity of coming events. Tomorrow, at midday, the world as you know it will end. Well, there isn't any time to waste then, is there?
The witness stated that he saw Lord Blackwood rise from the grave.
I want you to find him and stop him. That'll take every ounce of my not inconsiderable experience.
This may be a hobby to you, Mr. Holmes, but I do it for a living.
It does make a considerable difference to me, having someone with me on whom I can thoroughly rely. Always nice to see you, Watson. You've never complained about my methods before?
I never complain. When do I complain about you practicing the violin at 3 in the morning? Or your mess? Your general lack of hygiene, or the fact that you steal my clothes?
Be a lady?
Holmes, does your depravity know no bounds?
No. What have you done? Madam, I need you to remain calm, and trust me, I'm a professional. But beneath this pillow lies the key to my release.
Please sit. Put your money on the table. Welcome. The cards can illuminate your future. I have a feeling you're in danger.
Actually, I prefer to read your fortune. I see your next client is here to kill you. Oh, how I've missed you, Holmes.
I see your web of conspiracy has expanded.
I'm knee-deep in the single most important case of my career. The clues point in one direction.
Professor James Moriarty.
Are you sure you want to play this game? I'm afraid you'd lose. I agree it's not my best disguise, but I had to make do. Didn't see this in the cards, did you? What are we doing down here?
His name is Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Was that him? You ever been bitten?
Done. These don't have teeth.
You ever been bit?
No, I have never been bit.
Mr. Holmes, are you all right?
All right, Roger.
The photograph is her, isn't it? The woman in the story. Is it real?
The case was my last.
We're about to start an investigation.
Mr. Holmes.
Did you finish what you had to do?